you. Hey, hey, who love me? Tell me why.
There were hundreds of cupcake shirts and signs throughout the building tonight. There's even a fan actually dressed as a cupcake.
What have I told you about Kevin Durant? Thinnest skinned superstar.
He hates when folks call him sensitive. He hates when folks call him sensitive because
he's sensitive.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it should bother him, and it shouldn't bother.
Oh, it bothers him. He's sensitive, Cindy.
It's the.
In that one comment, he admitted he reads everything, he watches everything.
Oh, no,
he knows
does
what
know.
Everyone's saying about him, and that could very well be his first problem.
He watches our show, Jenna. He's not happy with some of the comments you made about him. He's texted a couple people out there, so
I'm not surprised.
Could he have already played his last game in a Warriors uniform? KD can be a free agent this summer, and there have been plenty of rumors that he just might end up with the New York Knicks. Charles Barkley doesn't think the Big Apple is a good idea, though. Sir Charles says, Kevin, you're one of the greatest players I've ever seen. You've also got some of the thinnest skin I've ever seen. You've also got some of the thinnest skin I've ever seen.
You've also got some of the thinnest skin I've ever seen.
I don't know if you're made for New York City. I think that would be the toughest aspect. He's arguing with these teenagers online. He's not going to be able to deal with that New York media. He's a great person, a great player. I don't think he has the mental makeup to play in New York. That's just my personal opinion. Sir Charles never minced his words.
Only exception in any major sport is Kevin Durant. He's the world's most sensitive guy. I get it when he broke into the league and Westbrook's better than you, dude. Harden's better than you. I get it. You're now the second best player in the NBA for like 8 years. Why is he so sensitive?
It makes no sense, and you just said it. The guy's won 2 championships, 2 MVPs in the finals, and instead of people thinking of him as the second best player in the league, he is officially the Masot.
What's that?
The most sensitive of all time.
What do you make of the notion that here is KD, he's mixing it up with a very high-profile media member, and he's mixing up with a guy on Twitter who has 155 followers, I look
KD is changing the game in a different way because we've never seen somebody so very talented and so very accomplished, yet it seems like they're still uncomfortable in their own skin.
The reason that celebrities' lives are parallel to fictional characters in films and television shows is because their entire life story is scripted. All of these entertainers are either robots or aliens. All of these characters' stories are meant to resemble movies and what you would call plot twist of reality. Most people are just too busy to figure out the puzzle. Let's take the basketball player Kevin Durant for example. On the surface, Kevin Durant's story is very much sold as humble beginnings. But if you analyze and study his life and compare it to all of the movies you may haven't watched, you will see just how scripted his life is. Kevin Durant is not from Seat Pleasant, Maryland, which is just east of Washington, D.C. Durant, however, I believe was placed there for the sole purpose of selling his scripted story to gullible and impressionable fans who buy into the higher-ups' lies. This would explain why Kevin Durant scoffs at the idea of playing back at home in Washington, D.C.
Did you ever consider the idea of going back to Washington to play? I know that's been thrown out there. Why does the idea of playing at home, does it seem annoying, the idea of playing at home?
What are you talking about? That no was so fast.
No, when I knew that, every time I've ever asked him, I've known the answer is no, but I've never said that because I've never interviewed publicly. But why? Why is the idea just annoying of being at home?
I played up until I was
18, 17 at home, so I played all my time. It was time for me to explore other parts of the world playing basketball.
And why he also takes a shot at the Wizards in the process. Why? Because he truly has no connection to that city. The nature of being satanic is displaying pure mockery, hiding the truth right in plain sight, and here is the mockery. Kevin Durant's professional career actually did begin in Washington, not DC, but Seattle, Washington. This was a subtle twist and play on words as a way to deceive the masses. Kevin Durant is from St. Pleasant, Maryland, so his career actually did start in St. Seattle is the seat of King County in Washington. St. Pleasant, Maryland is in Prince George's County. The Seattle area was founded by members of the Denny Party who arrived in Illinois via Portland, Oregon. But keep those two states in mind. Portland was the city and team that Kevin Durant was originally supposed to get drafted to. I also looked deeper to find out the real reason why Kevin Durant decided to wear the jersey number 35, which I believe is a complete lie. Kevin Durant allegedly chose the number 35 due to his late AAU coach Charles "Chucky" Craig, who allegedly died due to being murdered back in '05, trying to stop a fight. But as I was doing some deep research, I shockingly came across two deceased men, who both go by the name Charles "Chucky" Craigs. One, Charles, died back in 2002 in Henry, Indiana. The other, Charles, died back in 2005, 3 years later, and his funeral was held in Northeast DC. I also, mysteriously, noticed a common secret code number that kept reappearing, and that was the number 42. Charles "Chucky" Craig, from Henry, Indiana, died in 1942. The Charles "Chucky" Craig from D.C. funeral was held at address 4242 Benning Road, Northeast, D.C. The incident with Kevin Durant's coach Charles "Chucky" Craig was said to have unfolded at 2:40 a.m. Ironically, if you add up both of Kevin Durant's jersey numbers, 35 plus 7, it equals the number 42, which is the number that Kevin Durant wore when he was younger. This could also be why Kevin Durant and former basketball player Charles "Chuck" Barkley, who was 42 years old when Kevin Durant's AAU coach passed away, are always at odds with one another. I also went back to the 1988 NBA draft, which so happened to be the same exact year that Kevin Durant was allegedly born. The draft took place in New York City, where KD plays currently, with the 4th pick in the 1988 draft. The Nets, who is the team that KD plays for now, selected a player by the name of Chris Morris, who wore the same jersey number 34, as former NBA star Charles "Chuck" Barkley. Like Charles Barkley, Chris Morris went to Auburn State, and he also played for the Phoenix Suns, like Charles Barkley as well. I also subtracted 35 years from the year 2007, which is the exact year Kevin Durant was drafted in, and was taken all the way back to the 1972 NBA draft. I noticed that the Portland Trail Blazers drafted a player by the name of LaRue Martin. LaRue Martin was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, but drafted by Portland. The 1972 draft was said to have been one of the most controversial riddled drafts in history. Get it? Riddle. Why? Because LaRue Martin was drafted ahead of former NBA players Bob McAdoo and Julius Erving, who were far better players than he was. This was very much similar to the 2007 draft when Kevin Durant was drafted, where the Trail Blazers were actually supposed to select Kevin Durant, but mysteriously they took big man Greg Oden, who turned out to be a bust, just like LaRue Martin. Funny enough, LaRue Martin wore the jersey number 35, which was the same exact number that Kevin Durant chose to wear, coincidentally, in 1976. LaRue Martin was traded to the Seattle Supersonics, which was the same team that Kevin Durant was drafted to back in 2007. But then LaRue was cut and eventually signed to the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. But unfortunately, he never played a game for either team. It's said that Martin's short career is a punchline to all draft jokes, and I wonder why. The reason why LaRue Martin's short career is a running joke is because the masses aren't in on the joke that we've been deceived by, which is that the Portland Trail Blazers, like the New York Knicks, have a history of making horrible draft selections and have missed out on some legendary players. However, it was all scripted to be that way, and we are just supposed to believe that they were all these big men who had unfilled potential, from choosing Bill Walton, Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan, and Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. The Seattle Supersonics would eventually relocate to Oklahoma. Oddly enough, there is a city in Oklahoma named Durant, Oklahoma, which was established in 1907. Mysteriously, Kevin Durant was 19 in 07 when KD was drafted. Oklahoma City is on the I-35 corridor, which I believe ties into the elites, having Kevin Durant wear the jersey number 35. The I-35 is one of the primary travel corridors south into Texas, and guess who played college in Texas? Kevin Durant. The reason why that Kevin Durant's story comes off as humble beginning is because it humanizes Kevin Durant, and it sells a false sense of hope to kids who want to be just like Kevin Durant and make it to the NBA, mainly the ones who are raised in these urban communities, failing to realize that all of these characters' scripted stories are nothing but fairy tales already that are set in stone, and was planned way before Earth was created by the dark hidden forces who operate the simulation. Let's take the basketball player Kevin Durant for example. On the surface, Kevin Durant's story is very much sold as humble beginnings, but if you analyze and study his life and compare it to all of the movies you may haven't watched, you will see just how scripted his life is. Kevin Durant formerly dated WNBA player by the name of Monica Wright, which happens to be the same name as the fictional character from the popular film Love and Basketball.
Big news out of the Thunder camp this week. Kevin Durant is engaged. Darnell Mayberry joins us on the phone right now. And Darnell, tell us what we know at this point about the Thunder superstar and his now engagement.
Well, Kevin Durant, apparently has found love off the court, and her name is Monica Wright, a lovely young lady who plays for the Minnesota Lynx of the WNBA, and apparently they've been dating for several months secretly, and it really came out when Kevin Durant attended a Minnesota Lynx home game back in late May. He sat courtside, and that almost sort of confirmed that he was dating Monica Wright, and he then went to L.A. and attended another Minnesota Lynx game, this time against the Los Angeles Sparks. So, sparks are flying, if you will. And, Kevin Durant seems to be a man who knows what he wants.
My name is Monica Wright Rogers. My journey with basketball has been extraordinary. It's been my life. I remember when the movie came out, I was with my teammates from my AAU team and we went to go see it, and I hadn't even noticed that it was my name until like halfway through the movie. And so then I was like, wow, like, did they know anything? But obviously not. Later on in life, I ended up meeting the director of the movie at a Sparks game. We were playing the Sparks and she happened to be there. And I was just talking to her and she was like, it was totally about her life. She ran track at UCLA. She didn't play basketball. She ran track at UCLA. She didn't play basketball. I guess it was supposed to be at UCLA. They wouldn't let her do it, so she made it at USC. Going through life and having so many similarities to that movie was really odd. Do I need some royalty checks? But no. No, it was just interesting how things kind of played out. Maybe the movie spoke some things over my life. You never know when you speak into the universe what may come about.
The film Love and Basketball was allegedly written by a film director and screenwriter by the name of Gina Maria Prince. As we dig into Gina's personal life, it states that the film Love and Basketball was based on Gina's real life. However, as we analyze the information presented, her real life story is not even close, nor does it have any resemblance to the script Love and Basketball. Gina Prince was adopted by a white man who was a computer programmer, and her mother, who was of Salvadoran and German descent, was a nurse. And here again we see the script doesn't match her real life.
I've got a couple of questions about Love and Basketball as a love film, because that's what it is. So My first question is, what inspired you to make a film that was a love story?
Love story. Honestly, the biggest inspiration for this film was Harry Met Sally. I had loved that film. And honestly, it's very simplistic, but I thought in my head, let me write a black when Harry met Sally. But then as I started thinking about what I really wanted to say, it started getting more and more autobiographical. I played ball.
But obviously not. Later on in life, I ended up meeting the director of the movie at a Sparks game. We were playing the Sparks and she happened to be there. And I was just talking to her and she was like, it was totally about her life. She ran track at UCLA. She didn't play basketball. She ran track at UCLA. She didn't play basketball.
She ran track at UCLA. She didn't play basketball.
I played ball. My first kiss was the boy on my block. And we counted 10 seconds on our fingers. And so it just became more and more personal. So it was just about loving love stories and wanting to write something that I'd like to see. And the truth of it is that, especially back then, we rarely saw love stories with any people of color in them. And so it was also that fight to do that as well.
So What Do You Know? A movie that was a cult classic in the black community, was written through the fingers of a white woman, yet blacks celebrate it as if it was made for them. As previously mentioned, major projects and corporations are given a face to take credit, while the elites secretly shape and shift culture. Oddly, there was another mystifying connection that I found to be extremely strange, which is how the film The Wood, which so happened to be released a year before the movie Love and Basketball came out, was practically a part 2 to the film Love and Basketball. Even though The Wood was released a year before, my theory is that the script was twisted, told from a point of view from the characters Monica Wright and Quincy McCall in junior high school, which is a part that was skipped in the film Love and Basketball. Notice the two main characters from Love and Basketball were in The Wood. The film Love and Basketball was also based in Los Angeles, California, just like the movie The Wood. The film The Wood was about 3 guys who reminisces back to their childhood before one of their friends were about to get married. In The Wood, one of the main characters named Mike, played by Omar Epps, likes a young Alicia, who is played by Sanaa Lathan. As the film flashes back, Mike's first real crush was Alicia. Fast forward, they meet at a dance. They so happen to both be dating other people, but both share a moment when they hear the song, If This World Were Mine. It was later revealed, after high school, that Mike and Alicia both went their separate ways. when Alicia attended the University of Columbia in New York, while Mike stayed home and went to USC, which is so ironic because USC is the school that both Quincy McCall and Monica Wright went to, but would eventually go their separate ways when Quincy went to the NBA and Monica went to play basketball overseas. And what's funny is, the screenwriter for the film Love and Basketball married a man by the name of Reggie By the Wood, who's from New York and was also an actor as well. In the film, Love and Basketball, Monica Wright's mother is played by a popular actress by the name of Alfre Woodard. That same exact year, Alfre Woodard would also star in a film titled Holiday Heart as a character by the name Wanda, which so happens to be the maiden name of Kevin Durant's mother, but ironically, her marriage name was Pratt, and mysteriously Kyler Pratt played the younger Monica Wright in the film Love and Basketball. Alfre Woodard was born and raised in Oklahoma, which is the same state that KD was drafted to, but let's take it back to the film Holiday Heart. Holiday Heart is a film about a transgender woman who takes in a single mother who is a drug addict, who also brings along her beautiful loving teenage daughter. Also starring in the film was a character by the name of Blue, who if you pay very close attention to, slightly resembles the actor Tommy Davidson. Ironically, Tommy Davidson starred in a film titled Juwanda Man, which was also a basketball film about a basketball player who became transgender and joined the WNBA after he was removed from the NBA for his on and off the court antics, which resorted to him losing everything. But let's take it all the way back and do a deep dive so we can see how deep this evil, wicked, twisted plot goes. Tommy Davidson also mysteriously starred in the popular cartoon series The Proud Family as Kyler Pratt's father. Ironically, Tommy Davidson's character was such a huge mama's boy on the show, just like Kevin Durant.
How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar.
Our Stephen A. Smith has called Kevin's move from OKC to Golden State the weakest move in NBA history. What was your reaction as his mother when he said that?
I thought that was quite harsh. And it's like, who are you, Stephen A., to come at my boy like that?
In the film Juwanda Man, Tommy Davidson was very attracted to the transgender basketball player Juwanda Man, who also played a gay character in the movie Life, but here is where the plot gets even more twisted and weirder. Tommy Davidson was also a cast member in the old 90s comedy sketch In Living Color, who is close friends to another character on the show who played a transgender by the name of Wanda. With this reoccurring transgender theme, don't be surprised if Kevin Durant publicly announces that he will either date a transgender or he will decide to become a transgender himself and join the WNBA like Juwanda Mann.
In Arkansas, the governor just signed the transgender sports bill. You heard about this?
Yeah, this is going to be funny.
Yeah, it's banning trans athletes from competing in sports. Let's just say Kevin Durant announced that he's transgender. Kevin Durant announced that he's transgender.
Kevin Durant announced that he's transgender.
Would he play for the WNBA? Or would he play for the NBA while presenting himself as a woman? Let's just say Kevin Durant put on a wig and decided to join the WNBA. Let's just say Kevin Durant put on a wig and decided to join the WNBA.
Let's just say Kevin Durant put on a wig and decided to join the WNBA.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
What would happen? What would happen?
Kevin Durant, bro, come on. It's cheating, bro.
The elites are also famously known for using reverse psychology and mind manipulation in their subliminal messaging, so that it enters the masses' subconscious to lure in a certain group, which in this case is men, so that they fall prey to their evil, wicked agenda. The elites utilized a female rap character by the name of Cash Doll to go out on social media and say that all these men want to FKD, with the elites knowing that this will grab men's attention, knowing that the public will automatically assume that she is referring to Kevin Durant and would creep into their subconscious.
He's just banging and banging and banging. When a guy's banging you, you spin off of him. Those are the worst defenders to play against, actually, because if you can feel their body, come on.
He's just banging and banging and banging. When a guy's banging you spin off of him. Those are the worst defenders to play against, actually, because if you can feel their body, come on. This is so the idea of another man doing something sexual to Kevin Durant creeps into men's minds, all while most of them just dismiss the tweet as a joke. But the elite's endgame is to ensure that heterosexuals become the minority in this society.
So a gangster can do a song with a gay person now. Is it gonna get to the point where you can just be a gay gang member? Or will
It's
that
already like that. They're coming out.
But do you think that will happen and that they will be accepted?
Definitely coming. Listen, in the next 5 years,
it happening is one thing. Them being accepted
the
is another
heterosexual
thing,
community in the next 5 years will be the minority. The
Accepted is another
heterosexual
thing,
community in the next 5 years will be the minority.
The heterosexual community in the next 5 years will be the minority. My theory is that this is part of the reason why I think KD will announce he's either dating a trans or will come out as one. KD knows that the LGBTQ will be a safe haven to be protected. By him being so sensitive and the masses fearing the LGBTQ and him knowing they'll be canceled, he'll never be harshly criticized again.
Durant talked to Cash about the WNBA player he sees as most like him, Jonquil Jones of the Connecticut Sunday.
Jonquil Jones is the one that comes off top of mind, Durant said of the 6 feet 6 inches big. She reminds me of myself with her length, and how she shoots the ball. I'm a huge fan of her. He spoke as well of his relationship with Charlie Collier, another WNBA big who was taken overall no in the 2021 WNBA draft. Like KD, Collier is a Texas product and wore number 35, his number as a Longhorn.